Hey guys, it's Zach here, and I thought I'd make a quick video, kind of a rant. I have a buddy of mine who, this is his first year bow hunting, and he he sends me a text today, and he's like, "Hey, on the side of my field, there's a deer, and it's been shot in the ass. Do you think the meat's okay?" And in honesty, I text him back, and I'm like, "Well, if I don't know how it's been shot. I don't know if it's been shot like side to side or right up the back or what. But I'm like, the meats might be tainted because you don't know how long it's been sitting there, and you don't know, I didn't know where the bullet ripped through them, right? I mean, if it gets anything in there and this deer's been sitting there for 3 days, I wouldn't even touch it." So then he comes back and he's like, "Well, like he was asking my opinion, right? But he comes back and he's like, "Well, it's a really big deer and I don't want it to go to waste, so I don't know." And I'm like, "Well, you can try it." I said, "But the one time we picked up a deer on the side of the road and it was disgusting. Like, it was straight up nasty." So he's like, "Oh, well, can you help me?" I'm like, "Well, I'm out shopping with Sam right now, so no, I can't." "Okay, So then a couple hours later I text him and I say, "How'd that deer go?" Because he's pretty gung-ho on it. And he said, "Oh, I didn't pick it up." I'm like, "You didn't pick it up? Why not?" He's like, "I didn't have anybody to help me." I said, "Well, what did you need help with?" Because, he said, "Everything." I'm like, oh man. So my rant is, he has really nice expensive stuff for everything, for ice fishing, summer fishing, and bow hunting. He bought this top of the line, over $1,000 bow this year, and I don't know if it's because he thinks like having the best equipment makes you a better hunter or a better fisherman or whatever, because it doesn't. And that's pretty much exactly my point. Is if a person's going to spend thousands of dollars on a hunting sport, they should probably spend the free investment of their time. I got a goofy Facebook. They could probably need to spend their free investment of their time to learn how to like process these things, because a lot of people can fillet fish. That's easy, but like gutting a deer, gutting a duck, butchering chickens or like stuff like that, that takes some knowledge. And I'm not gonna lie, I definitely would have to look up. Like if I was gonna butcher a deer, I could quarter it. I could find the meats, but I wouldn't know like this is a arm roast, or I can like back straps and like blah 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 blah. I can figure that stuff out, but I would definitely do my research on it. And it's so easy to do research on how to butcher a deer and everything like that, that it's like, why? One day when you're 40 and you shoot a deer and you're in the middle of the woods, you're going to have to know how to do this, so you might as well look up how to butcher it now, because believe it or not, there's two ways to pull it, tow a deer out of the woods. You can throw a deer over your back. There's just endless possibilities. And research is amazing. So that's my rant. Is you can have a $50,000 bow, but it doesn't make you a better hunter. You have to actually put the effort in, learn about the sport and everything. So kind of on that topic, but way off. When I was in college, it was a really snowy day, and I walked past these group of guys. I was going to the bathroom, and I hear the guy. He's like, "I had my pickup truck in 4-wheel drive, and I still couldn't stop." And I thought, if you think if you don't know about 4-wheel drive, you shouldn't have it, because it definitely doesn't help you stop at all. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how my parents grew up. I don't know how my grandparents grew up without something as easy and as knowledgeable as like the internet, where you can look up anything you want in the world and learn about it. Um, but that's why knowledge is power. And I learn so much from YouTube every day. I look up just dorky documentaries, stupid stuff that nobody cares about, like Coca-Cola documentaries, energy, documentaries, um, like Ford and Chevy, old school, like how to sell documentaries. And people don't think that that stuff is like, or like audiobooks. I love audiobooks. Um, I don't subscribe to audible.com anymore because I didn't have like the time for it, but I love audiobooks. And I love learning about just things that people don't learn about because um, the history and how people did things, you have to have that knowledge to. It's like stairs, right? Learn stuff and listen. People nowadays don't want to listen. They just want to overtalk and try to prove that they're better, and it drives me up the wall when people do that. I find that 90% of the time, the answer to your question is only a few sentences away, but you're going to interrupt them and ask it anyways. And, like, if you've seen Jones Act Survival and you've watched anything with my grandfather, you'll know that he has, like, what do they call that? He stutters. And, if I remember right, I think he got, like, whooping cough when he was a kid. And they didn't have, like, quite a cure for it yet. So, because of, like, the sickness, I think it was whooping cough. Because of the sickness, he ended up having that stutter. Like, he had a fever and stuff. And one thing that my dad told me when I was really young is you never, ever, ever finish Grandpa's sentences because he hates it. And when he went to school, the teachers would always call on him to read. And this is a story I've heard, but they called on him to read because it was a funny joke. Back then, I think people got bullied more than they do now. Well, it aggravated him so much that he would go home, and like my grandfather loves to read all the time. He reads Western books. It actually got me into Westerns and stuff, and I love Westerns, especially the books. They're really interesting. But he would go home and he would read so that when he went to school, he would be a better reader to prove the teacher wrong, right? So I think because of all of this and because my father was like, hey, don't interrupt Grandpa, don't ever finish his sentences for him because he hates it. And I'll sit there when he's talking, and if he's around people that don't know, they always finish his sentences. And that, for whatever reason, has clicked in my head, and it's like, I don't like to be interrupted when I talk. So, yeah. So people nowadays don't know how to just keep their mouth shut and wait for the end of the sentence and then ask the question. So, knowledge is power, and listening to get the knowledge is power nowadays. So, that's why a lot of times I tell people, I'm like, I'm busy. I might not be doing something like working on a car or doing something like super duper important, but I am learning all the time. And, the saying, if you're not earning more, you need to be learning more. And if you're not learning more, you should be earning more. Knowledge is power. That saying isn't necessarily about money. It's just about life in general, right? Learn what you can because might get you through that door, Say you're going for a job interview. This is really out there. Say you're going for a job interview, you're sitting in their office, you're talking, and you notice that this person has Coca-Cola memorabilia. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, you're just shooting whatever, just chatting like they do. They always like to just start up a random conversation about your life. And you're like, hey, I see all this Coca Cola stuff. You must really like Coca Cola. And they might say, yeah. And then you can, boom, oh, I watched that Coca Cola documentary. Did you know that, during World War II, Coca Cola shipped small processing plants for bottles across seas so that soldiers could get a Coca Cola for 5 cents? And you might spur that conversation. It might be the difference. So knowledge is power, big time. And listening is even more powerful. So, anyways, thanks for watching. That's my long rant, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.